It's all about quality and quantity on Brews Day Tuesday. Here is Huck and Big Nate.
Struggle.
It's a struggle. I'm not the one struggling. Oh, beautiful sound.
It's an interesting sound there. Firestone Walker. One of them there famous California breweries.
So, okay, welcome back into Brews Day Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar Restaurant and Six Pack Store. I'm Big Nate. He is Huck.
I am Huck.
This is round 2 of our Valentine's festivities. And so I kind of grabbed things according to what I thought you would pick. And I knew you were a fan of Firestone Walker.
Oh, big fan.
So Huck was popping the cork. I grabbed myself, and I'm really glad you didn't choose this one. Wicked Weed Brewing, the Raspberry Grape Starfruit Burst. It's a session sour. This is actually the brewery we went to on our honeymoon.
All right.
We went to Wicked Weed in Asheville.
Wicked Weed.
Great time. Some terrible band was playing next door. And
that's probably pre-InBev.
No, I think it was shortly after. But still a really good time, really great venue. It was
and their beer's
packed
still good.
House.
They're still making good beer.
It was a Saturday night, and it was packed. There's only seating outside. Now, the thing to note, we got married in October. A little cold in Nashville, so we decided after hanging out at Wicked Weed for about an hour, let's just turn this into a pub crawl. And I can confidently tell you there are a lot of great places to drink in Asheville.
Oh, man, you can every corner. There's 3 on every corner.
We walked into this place. I think it's called the Rat's Nest or something like that. And they have like rats everywhere. It's a little dive bar. You had to pay for a membership to get in. And he is loading the cap gun right now. I'm pretty sure.
I was going to try to shoot the cork, but I don't think it'll fit.
I don't think it'll fit either. Yeah, no, it's not going to.
You should have had it. You didn't have
no. I had a can.
It's all bottles next time.
This is true.
Yeah,
we'll
have a war.
Little tease there for you.
Asheville's got there's like one like called it might have been that. I thought it was like the Red Door or something. It's like where there's a little square. You go off at a tangent, and there's this dive bar in a corner.
Oh, ours wasn't on a corner. It was in the middle of like some weird.
Well, no, it's just in the middle of a side street, and they go in there, and everybody's got these fancy glowing in the dark drinks and stuff. It's really wild.
No, that one would have been cool too. We ended up in an Irish pub, and then we went further down the street to take a ghost tour. I mean, not completely drunk because we were walking around a new city. Nice buzz. We did a ghost tour, and then we went back to the Irish pub and ate dinner. Had one of the best burgers I've ever had.
Yeah, it's good food, the Irish pub there.
This is a good Valentine's conversation. See, beer's a bonding experience. All right, so now actually, before we go any further, now's the time where we learn a little bit.
All right.
Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
You go ahead.
All right, we're going to San Francisco. This is a February event. I can't really do this day in brewing history because we do this on Tuesdays, and some days are just tricky. But 1933, after Prohibition ended in April, Joe Kraus of Anchor Brewing began brewing Anchor Steam beer once again after having to go on hiatus for 13 years. And his newly reopened brewery went up in smoke the following February. He reopened, but Anchor Brewing almost
April 7th,
nipped in the
1933. That's Huck's birthday.
Yes, it is.
It is. But Prohibition didn't actually end until December 5th, 1933. But Roosevelt signed an executive order freeing the beer.
It's kind of like
on April 7th.
I always find it interesting the traditions where we celebrate like the very first date. Like, of course, bills take a while to enact, and the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, it was like
July 4th, but nearly it wasn't completely ratified until August.
Like
I think it was August too.
It?
Yeah, it took forever.
Okay, so I'm also looking at history. You ever heard of Rolling Rock?
Yes.
Okay.
Very fond of Rolling Rock.
So Rolling Rock, on the label, there's the green bottle has a 33 on it, and there's no one knows. And so they went through and they have all these ideas, like it was 33 streams coming in, 33 steps from the brewmaster's office to the brewing door, the 33 total letters. Brewery workers were local 33. My favorite one, let me go down here, is that that I'm just going to be this way. Some people find it a stretch that anyone, even monks, would connect the beer with Jesus, but he was 33 when he, died and was rose, and he rolled the rock away. So there you go. So 33-year-old Jesus is why, because
I like that.
He's a rolling rock kind of guy.
I never heard that one. I like that theory.
Yes.
I always find it fascinating that like these companies that you don't like have a firm point on their history, like Dr. Pepper. There's like 4 different stories about Dr. Pepper floating around. Of course, one is that it came from Christiansburg.
Yeah, or I thought it was Salem. I don't know, somewhere around here.
Christiansburg is where I heard the real Dr. Pepper was a pharmacist.
Okay.
But then the other 3 theories are out in Texas.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, those people claiming Dr. Pepper is Christiansburg. We got 3 theories coming out of Texas, 1 out of Christiansburg. I'm gonna have to go with Texas.
Well, the best theory on the 33 was like the guy that was the CEO a few years ago did a lot of research, and he thinks that when they first did the label, they decided that the slogan was going to be 33 words long, and there was a big argument about it. So somebody had written a 33 on the corner of the label accidentally when on the proof, and when it went to print, it was missed. And then the next time they're like, well, it was already on there, let's just leave it. And that he thinks that's what really happened. That's printer's error.
That's a good theory.
Yeah.
And what if
I
that
don't think
was
Jesus
their
is going to
slogan?
be mad about that.
Rolling Rock 33. I mean, you're drinking a beer. How seriously do you have to take it? It's not like Miller High Life, the champagne of beers.
Well, that's what, I don't know if I've told you this, but I belong to a clandestine Facebook group called the Chuggers. And I'm not as active as I should be, but they basically, generally it's White Claw, Budweiser, and that, but we will chug Utopias. We will chug Pliny the Elder. We will. And I can chug them pretty fast. Drez and I did a show one time, and he was all going to be Barney bad, but I think I was 3.2 seconds, and he was 6.4. Yeah. Doubled his money.
I feel like I got to practice. I got to get my numbers up.
Sometimes I'd like to do also a brew with a view where I go on a hike. Like my daughter Whitney and I, we hike everywhere. We'll go up to the Cascades, and then I'll do a brew with a view, and then I'll chug it because I can.
I'm a big fan of brew with a view. I love hiking and drinking.
Yeah, me too.
Those two should always go together.
We should do some of that. And then we can report back to our listeners and
maybe
viewers.
when it's not winter.
I don't care. I tell you, Frozen Cascades is the best hike there is.
Frozen Cascades is beautiful.
It isn't going to happen this year. I don't
drinking
think.
Cold beer in the cold's never
I'll
been my
hook
thing.
you up with some good long underwear.
All
you won't mind.
I'll do anything once.
Ski wear. That's what you need. So what are you thinking of that beer?
I'm gonna be real honest with you. So I kind of there are several breweries in my mind that I've never really had a bad beer from them.
Yeah.
Dogfish Head, Flying Dog. Usually they have dog in the title, apparently.
You didn't have the spit beer from Dogfish Head then?
I did not.
Okay.
Like I said, I've never had a bad beer. That doesn't mean I've tried everything in their portfolio. Wicked Weed is another one of those for me. Like, it's not necessarily every beer knocks it out of the park, but usually it's pretty consistent. That's why I continue to buy that product. As far as candy beers go, this one
good,
pretty daggone solid. It's a session sour, which I don't think is a fair thing to call it because there's not a lot of sours that are really high in ABV because they use that wild yeast.
Yeah, the Brettanomyces. This is called the Bretta Rose, the Firestone Walker. It's 5.1%, as you say. It's got raspberries, which is one of my favorite flavors. And this is pretty good. I like Firestone Walker.
I'm still so Huck was kind enough to share some of his fruitful fort. I think that may be the strongest beer I've had in a good year and a half. So still warming up, which is great because we're most of the way through segment number 2. All right. Now's the opportunity. Anything you want to say about Valentine's Day? Advice to give our listeners to a long, happy relationship.
I saw something the other day, actually, and it was like when your spouse, your significant other says, blah, blah, blah. This was the problem with this. You should ask a question before you comment. You should say, do you want me to fix that? Or do you want me to commiserate with you? Because a lot of times I make that mistake of thinking somebody wants something fixed, but they didn't want it fixed. No, they want to hear about how stupid they were to have done it that way. They want you to go, oh, I'm so sorry. So that's my advice to everyone out there. Ask that question, even to yourself.
That's a really strong lesson that a lot of people I think could benefit from learning is that I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to, for right now, for the context of this, please don't like show with pitchfork and torches. For males, we want things fixed.
Right.
If we're complaining, we want it fixed. If females are complaining, usually it's something they just want to commiserate, talk about,
right,
get to the end of it. So it's a really valuable lesson. There's a lot of strength in that. My advice, beer is good, beer is cheap. Find a woman who can drink with you. Or man. It's up to you.
Or whatever of the 54 genders we are now recognizing.
Sometimes, I mean, another solid piece of advice that we got from someone who is related to us is write letters to each other and then put them in a box with like a bottle of wine or a bottle of champagne. And then if you're ever mad at each other, pop that bottle open, read those letters to each other.
See, I'm gonna write an email and then I'll send a bottle of wine delivery and have them put the note in there. I'm not gonna actually write a letter. Come on.
I think part of it is that it has to be handwritten.
No, I can't do that. My writing's terrible.
How's your cursive?
Oh, it's even worse.
And you know they're not teaching that in schools anymore?
That's probably good. Well, I mean, it's just like they told me back in the days that my algebra teacher.
You'll never have a calculator.
You're not gonna have a calculator in your pocket. No, actually, I have like a Hadron Collider in my pocket.
My favorite argument for the cursive. Well, how are children going to read our founding documents?
Well, apparently they're
not. You mean
not.
The ones that all exist in print?
Yeah.
Probably in print. Cursive needs to go away.
Well, I was just reading
start a Tuesday campaign.
I was reading a thing about coding. I read this 2600 journal. It's about hacking, but they don't call it that anymore. But the guy was talking about coding. He says, take a coding class. You don't need a coding class. You need to know what to search for.
Yep.
He says, need to know the words to search for to fix your problem.
You can fix just about anything in life
with
appropriate searching ability.
Yeah, YouTube. But there's a couple of things. I'm not even going to say that you don't want to search.
That's true. All right. I suppose it's time for us to rate these beers. We'll start with you. What do you got?
All right. So this is a terrible dilemma I'm having here. Okay. This is like, it's good, but you know what I don't really like? Brettanomycin. Okay. It's like the sour that gets up into my sinuses here in my palate. It makes my nose feel like I got some kind of creature, and I probably do have it. They probably jumped right out of this, and they're growing in my nose now. So, but I mean, it's very tasty. I get it. I think, as a style perfectionist, I think this beer is probably to style. So I'm going to hold my nose and give it a 4.25. I think it's probably someone who loves Brettanomycin would probably give this a 5. I'm not that person.
I want to point something out here, Huck. I brought both those beers and I didn't score below a 4.25. So I'm chalking this up as a victory.
Well, the first one was a 5, so I think you're doing good.
Yeah, I think so far
this was good. I
mean, that's another average.
Me a strong sour, and I'm not hating it. It was barrel aged though.
That's another
French oak.
I want you to know, like I put a lot of thought. JT was actually, so I went out to the cellar. I was probably in there for like 30 minutes.
Oh yeah.
JT's waiting out in the vehicle. God knows what he's doing, but I made the poor guy wait while I was picking up these beers, and I warned him going in. I was like, you might want to come in because if I get in a store like this, I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I did not know that.
Yes.
That makes sense because the ABC, I would have been there way longer. So be glad I did.
You go in and actually most stores you can drink in if you ask.
You can drink in any store if you're covert enough.
I'm pretty sure the other, I can't, since the seller's our sponsor, the other store in town, I believe, is expanding their license so you can actually go drink there.
There
was a thing on the door.
There have been a couple of things in the past few years that have, I mean, before I rate this, we're going to go long. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Before I rate this, there have been a couple of things over the past few years that have changed in the way we handle liquor and booze as a culture.
We were just talking about that before the show.
Big fan, and I think this is purely
To go needs to keep going.
yeah, to go and delivery need
Yeah.
to keep going.
So there's
It's not a problem in New Orleans.
kick it back to Asheville. There's a restaurant, and then you go out the door while you're waiting for your food, and you walk down a hill, and there's a little bottle shop down there. I can't remember the guy's name, but I walked in there, and he basically treated me like a king and found me everything I was looking for.
And then grocery
Bottle
stores.
shops are like that,
Yeah.
even the ones in Blacksburg and Roanoke,
It's true.
Barrel Chest.
And grocery stores need to be able to serve booze, all of them, because okay, first off,
Yeah, why do we?
I'm going to be much less
we need to get
stressed
rid of
out
the
in the
ABC
grocery store
stores.
if I've got a beer.
Yeah, I'm just saying though, booze.
We absolutely do.
Everywhere else in the world or in the country, I go all around. You just go by the grocery store and get some booze.
Like that's always my favorite when I'm somewhere where I know I can like drink in the grocery store. I'll grab a beer before we do any of the shopping. You know, just one beer while I'm shopping. I am way nicer to people. I'm more likely to spend more money.
Right?
So really, if you want to talk
Absolutely.
about stimulus,
I think we need some triple.
all
stuffed
grocery
Oreos.
stores need their I mean that's exactly right. All grocery stores need their liquor license.
All right. Well, now we've solved all that problem.
So now it's time to rate this wicked weed starfruit raspberry starfruit burst. Good Lord, that's a long name.
Sounds like candy, like you say.
It's just like candy and wicked weed. Solid offering 4.5.
Ooh.
We're on Untapped, Huck's Beer Buzz, Horace Your Radio. If you type in Big Nate, you'll find me. And that's going to do it for another edition of Brews Day Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar Restaurant and Six Pack Store. You going to be back again next Tuesday?
Yes, I am.
All right, we'll have some
Late-
fun.
Late, what
maybe
is it?
Mardi Gras action.
Le Bon Temps Roulette.
I
Let the good times roll.
I don't speak French, but we'll learn.
It's Cajun.
Kind of French.
Yeah, actually.
See you next week on Brews Day Tuesday on 105.3 The Bear.